associations and stuff like that, and you pretty much have to start the process all over to be able to do that, to get an alumni chapter. So it's pretty much a very similar process, but dues are a little bit more and all that fun stuff.
What was the chartering member ceremony state officer deal?
The state officers come perform a ceremony and present you your charter.
Okay, that's what I was. Okay, gotcha.
Did you get to do any of that?
Supposedly.
Yeah.
I had to sign off on a couple of chapters.
So I had 2 new ones the year you were in there? That's
I
good.
remember signing them, but we didn't go do anything.
Yeah.
Alright, now, Dr. Parr, this right here, what is this?
Life Knowledge is curriculum that National FFA puts out on leadership, essentially. And so there's a lot of teaching strategies and things that you can pull off of the web that's free now. It was very expensive whenever it started out. It was like $500 to buy all the Life Knowledge materials, and now they're free, so good for you. And this is something you'll find on FFA.org.
There's also the National FFA programs. So these are things that they're sort of encouraging right now. You've got the Agricultural Entrepreneur. So on here, I'm sure you can go and...
Easy for you to say.
Do what?
It's easy for you to say. It's a little bit of a tongue twister.
Okay. So this is an educational program designed to increase the amount of entrepreneurship being taught in local agriculture programs. So this is also the National FFA programs, the Ag Ambassadors, which we have one here at Auburn now.
We do.
Do y'all know who that is? Exactly. So what did they do, James Paul?
They call you during class.
They go around the country and promote agriculture.
Absolutely. So it's just pretty much people like college students making other people aware of things that are going on in agriculture. So that's one of the things that they're sort of helping to do. We've also got the agri-science fairs, which are, like you can sort of see, pretty much kids making up experiments, things like that, involving agriculture that help promote agriculture. We've got the FFA Global, which is where students are given the opportunity to go to other countries and sort of see their traditions and cultures and stuff like that. And they get to sort of see agriculture in a new perspective. I know when I was in Honduras this summer, they do agriculture a whole lot different than what we do here. And it's really cool to be able to see the technology that we have compared to them, and also the ways that they're able to improvise and make use of materials that they have. And it sort of gives you ideas of ways that we could do things different as well.
Like with a shovel?
Africa trip now, too.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
It's a pretty select group we used to go to that. I wouldn't like 10 or 12 we get to go.
I went to Africa this summer.
Hey, our department head made it back from Malawi. She said it was a super experience, and that there's people there that are interested in us doing Ag Ed exchange program in Malawi. So if anybody would like to student teach in Malawi,
I can speak some of the language.
yeah, they're supposed to be fairly fluent in English. They teach English in the schools, so most of them know some.
Station's a long way away.
Yeah, Malawi's going to be quite a commute for you, Kendall.
Probably can't drive home every evening though.
Not every.
What were you doing in Africa?
Fast boat.
Mission trip to church.
Okay.
We went to Malawi, to around the capital. Where they were having the fights, uprising.
Oh wow. What all were y'all doing? Did y'all do anything with agriculture?
Well, yeah, actually, I worked at an orphanage, and this orphanage is trying to become self-sustaining, so they grew their first crop of corn that year, and it was the first time that they would ever not have to go out and buy corn for their food. They would be able to grind it up and eat it themselves.
Yeah.
Pretty
That's really
exciting.
cool.
I helped harvest,
Sweet.
go out there and do it all by hand.
Yeah, it's crazy the places that they plant corn that we would be like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I'm never going to plant there.
Yeah.
I mean, just on the side of a mountain, you'll have a cornfield. I mean, it's
But
crazy.
because you don't have to get machinery on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just out of curiosity, would they have any problems with growing hybrid corn, or did they say no to
They
it?
grew something that was called it wasn't the Malawi hybrid, it was like a Zimbabwe hybrid, but it was a white corn.
So they are okay with a hybrid anyway,
Yeah.
but they're probably not okay with a GMO, right?
I don't know.
Did they mention any of that? Okay.
Talk about that.
One thing I've always thought would be interesting to do with my high school students is, although it'd be pretty much kind of hard to do, is a lot of times I go down to South Florida for vacation, and agriculture down there, believe it or not, is very big, especially in the wintertime. In the summertime, that's where most of your nursery plants and stuff like that come from, and then the winter, which they grow crops year round, but it could be December, and they'll be growing corn, tomatoes, just all types of crops. And a lot of times, when you go to the farmer's market in Birmingham, and these trucks are coming in, most of them are coming in from Homestead. And it's interesting to see down there how for miles and miles you might go and see nothing but sugarcane fields. Or see, like once you get into southern central Florida, heading into South Florida, it might be several miles of nothing but cattle pastures with starved to death cattle and orange groves and stuff. But once you get down to Homestead, it's just amazing to see how they do agriculture down there, and they'll have these big tractors out there in these fields scraping up soil that's only about that deep, because once you get below about 3 or 4 inches below the soil surface, it turns into coral rock. So they got these teeth out there scraping it, just constantly scraping it. I can't remember the technical name for it, but one thing I've always thought would be interesting to do is, like with my high school FFA officers or something, sometime between Christmas and New Year's, or between Christmas break and Christmas, go on a trip down there with like a utility trailer and show them how agriculture is done down there. They bring a bunch of palm trees, a bunch of different fruits and vegetables that can only be grown in South Florida, back up to the FFA chapter, put those palm trees in a greenhouse, and actually try to make them start budding and growing off, and then like reproducing everything, and then sell that as like part of an FFA project, some palm trees. Now there's some that are cold hardy, like the windmill palm. It can withstand temperatures down to about 0 degrees. And we've had some that have lived 2 or 3 years before the weed killer kills them and stuff by accident. Aside from that, they're temperature tolerant fairly well, along with like dwarf palmetto plants. They withstand temperature very well. At home, we've got some that are 5 or 6 years old and they're still doing just fine. And getting back to the subject though,
I forgot what it was.
It's really a unique experience to be able to bring all these foreign types of plants and fruits and stuff, like of course go through the ag inspection stations to keep them being illegal and everything.
Right.
Bring them back up to the greenhouse and use it as a fundraiser, because people, especially these housewives, are going to love to have ornamental palm trees that grow in a bucket, because it's a conversation topic.
Yeah, housewives love trees.
There's one type of palm tree called
Save some for next time.
But I understand what you're saying. During my internship, we actually had a lemon tree that grew inside the greenhouse. And that was one of the things that we used to show the students how to make cuttings and how to do all different types of propagation and stuff on.
Did it ever produce lemons?
Yes, it did. It had huge lemons on that. So like, you can actually sell things like that will not grow outside, and people will buy them. You just have to inform them that if you go and plant this out in your yard, don't expect it to be growing. A lot of people would have them planted inside the house. I don't know if they were housewives or not, but
Well, you know how a housewife loves a palm tree. In a bucket.
You know that. But
I guess I should have said soccer ball instead.
right. Anyways, but back to the FFA website and things that you can find. You can also find areas to put risk management essays, things like that. Some of your students might be interested in doing essays and writing like that, like Trent. So you can get them involved by doing risk management essays and things like that. And you have the New Century Farmers. Anybody familiar with this? New Century Farmer? Anybody? Alright, well, New Century Farmer shows a value of pursuing a career in production agriculture and provides students with the opportunity to advance their leadership, personnel, and career skills, especially in the areas of...
We could send somebody on that, like somebody from Bailey Farms.
Yeah.
You know, I actually really considered doing that this summer, but I didn't.
So,
Or last summer.
Maybe one of your brothers will.
Don't you have to be pursuing a career in production agriculture?
Well, yeah, I guess. I mean,
They're not much of a farm
what's their
here.
majors though? I mean, you know, it's They're part of Bailey Farm. They probably wouldn't want to go if they're